This video is brought to you by Surfshark. Stick around to hear more about the special offer they're providing to the entire upper echelon community. All right, Arena Breakout Infinite. What is the game? Why am I calling it greedy right in the title? And why should you care? That is, if you care about the PC extraction shooter video game market. I'll just jump right in. Arena Breakout Infinite is obviously an extraction shooter type game. In a reductive sense, that simply means drop into a map, fight other players and NPCs, gather loot, get out safe. That's the basic gameplay, it's the entire core premise. And it's also a seemingly good time for growth in the genre, which up till now has been largely dominated by a particular game called Escape from Tarkov. It's basically impossible to talk about the extraction shooter market at large without acknowledging Escape from Tarkov. It has problems, it has issues, and it's certainly seen a hefty number of controversies, to be sure, like a $250 somewhat pay-to-win unheard edition of the game that resulted in the developers secretly changing their website descriptions and gaslighting the community. But overall, Escape from Tarkov is the defining presence in the genre, and basically everything is looked at through a lens of comparison. That's no different here. The same thing happened with Gray Zone Warfare, a fun game, but a rather bland one in the grand scheme of things so far, and the same thing will happen now with Arena Breakout. But in my view, you don't dethrone the king by being worse than them. You dethrone a king by being better, and Arena Breakout has completely missed that mark in some of the most obvious ways possible, despite being a pretty fun game. In the background, I have some footage. Be kind, please. I'm not that good at these types of games, at least not since about 2019, and I've also been practicing for the Tarkov wipe recently, which made me a little bit clunky with the controls here, but the background footage can serve as a baseline of what the game looks like early on. However, this isn't a gameplay review. This is a call out of what I can really only describe as ultra deceptive greed, and in order to do that, we have to look at the company behind this game. Arena Breakout Infinite, Infinite Greed, ha 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 ha, you see what I did there? Is developed by a company called Level Infinite. Big company, a lot of employees, and they've also worked on a pretty hefty number of reputable titles. They apparently had a hand in V Rising, incredible game, well worth checking out, obviously. They worked on some of the Warhammer stuff, and they're even working in some capacity, not sure how much, on Dune Awakening, which is an MMO I've been personally closely following. However, Level Infinite is actually the overseas publishing arm of Tencent, which is not exactly a name that old school PC gaming market fans have a lot of respect for. Tencent is widely regarded as one of the most damaging companies in the entire world of video games. Aggressive monetization, obviously stolen IP, invasive buyouts, and more have led this company to the top of the list, or at least near the top, when it comes to most hated gaming brands. And I don't expect that to change anytime soon, but that by itself probably wouldn't deserve a video. What does deserve a video is when a developer comes out, actually the lead developer in this case, and says definitively, the game won't have pay to win aspects. And then the game has about as much pay to win as you can possibly imagine when it comes out. For me personally, that kind of ups the ante. Making a game that has pay to win is one thing, but making a game that's pay to win directly after you explicitly lied to the audience about what kind of monetization it would have is a couple steps further. And sure, you can say, oh, well, it's free to play, so who cares? And I would almost agree with you there. But this kind of pattern needs to be called out because telling the audience one thing and then doing something entirely opposite isn't a good template for the industry, despite how common it's slowly become. Anyway, here it is. This is an interview with the lead game designer that was released on a YouTuber's channel called Landmark. He's a great content creator, by the way. I watched a little bit more after seeing all this, and he's pretty damn good at Tarkov. I like his stuff, but I'll leave a link down to his channel down below. Like, it's great. Check it out, subscribe. Anyway, in this interview, the very first question, like number one, goes like this.
Oh, look at this. They structured this nicely.
Just like the mobile version, Arena Breakout Infinite is a free-to-play game, allowing easy access for interested players. While there are paid content options in the game, we understand the concerns regarding pay-to-win models. However, it's important to note that these paid features and systems have undergone extensive player testing and have received positive feedbacks in the Arena Breakout mobile version. The PC version will also include certain paid features, providing convenient membership services, options for personalized appearances, and melee weapons. It's crucial to emphasize that these paid features have no impact on gameplay or the fairness of the game. In Arena Breakout Infinite, your skills, tactical abilities, and understanding of the game are the key factors that truly matter.
Yeah, no impact on gameplay or the fairness of the game, with an emphasis on skill being the only thing that matters. It basically sounded like a typical free-to-play monetization method. Skins, cosmetics, melee stuff, sure, but again, no impact on gameplay, which they emphasized more than once. Well, flash forward, and no, that's not true. But it's so untrue, in fact, they're just flat out selling currency. There's more, which I'll get to, but this is not cosmetic or convenience. This is just about as pay to win as you can possibly think of without putting stuff like take half damage from bullets for actual cash. It's really, 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 really bad. All right, endorsement time. Today, that endorsement is Surfshark, which is the longest running and consistent sponsor for this entire channel, making, at this point, I think, hundreds of videos possible with their support. Surfshark is a VPN, a virtual private network, and VPNs protect from a bunch of different things. Keep in mind, by the way, nothing in cybersecurity is ever 100% perfect, and no one should claim that it is, but Surfshark protects against certain types of phishing attacks, malware, DNS tunneling, DDoS attacks in particular, and also against a portion of the now horrifically normalized practice of big tech data harvesting as well as tracking. Switching gears, Surfshark unlocks additional content on streaming websites, such as Netflix, for example. Just change your region, which unlocks additional options in your video content library as a result of licensing agreements. Surfshark also helps mitigate regional censorship, like the government deciding to block websites, and Surfshark also offers encryption, IP protection, modification, and more. I say this in every single segment now for a very specific reason. Surfshark operates completely separate infrastructure from NordVPN, and Surfshark also maintains a warrant canary. I won't use or endorse a VPN that doesn't. If you click the link down below using promo code Echelon, you can take advantage of a special community-wide offer with 4 full months for free. Again, that's promo code Echelon with the link down below for a community-wide special offer. Big thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring the channel. Back on task here. Selling actual currency, despite what some fans are rambling about on social media, means you are selling every single gameplay item that the entire experience has by proxy. That's not cosmetic, as they previously emphasized. It's pay to win. And they take it a step further by making it so that the containers, the things that you use to protect your most valuable loot while out on a mission so you don't lose it when you die, they're relatively small, are also pay to win, but you don't even get the thing you buy. If you buy one of these containers, you only get it for 30 days, which means you're spending, what, I think $10 in that case for a decisive in-game advantage? Well, advantage on the extraction of money from missions, but they sell the money too, so double whammy. But regardless, you're paying $10 for this in-game item, and you don't even really get it. You're renting it from them. That's bad. That's really bad when you compare it to the direct promises of the lead developer. And personally, I don't think they should get a pass on this just because the game itself is free to play. Try this on for size. Arena Breakout Infinite Greed isn't just pay to win. It's pay to talk. Because you only get a certain number of free messages in the world chat, after which you have to buy these consumable communicator devices, which get consumed, right? I said consumable already, but I think that's important to emphasize. You consume them to send a message in a certain chat room. Personally, I don't care about typing in the world chat. It's not important to me, but pay to win becoming pay to talk, that's a pretty big step forward. And I'm perfectly able to look at a gameplay feature with objectivity and realize, wow, that's bad without technically being affected by it myself, or rather, not caring about it myself. To be fair, this isn't the first game in history to use that kind of monetization mechanism. MapleStory, Vindictus, etc. Others come to mind, but the extraction shooter market taps into a very hardcore, old-school PC audience, not just mobile, which makes it exceptionally egregious, in my opinion, that they would not only use these types of schemes, but also lie about their intentions before release. That's a bit too far, and by a bit, I mean that's way too far, and it shouldn't be happening. Sadly, the game will not struggle in any sense of the word when it comes to overall player count. These types of games might not do well in the West, but they find dedicated mobile audiences in the East relatively quickly, which you can easily see by looking at games like PUBG Mobile, a game that Level Infinite also worked on, I think, by the way. It's odd to think about, but we're talking about two distinctly separate worlds overlapping, in a sense, because the PC market is just a secondary, what if it were popular there too kind of situation for them, more so than the actual target demographic. Another indication of that would be the launch window. I find it very hard to believe that any game realistically attempting to compete for an actual PC player base in the extraction shooter market would launch directly into a new Escape from Tarkov wipe, which just means they reset the economy with a major patch and people flood back into the game. It's kind of like a fresh launch, if you will. because that kind of timing means you get what, a week of popularity before most people go back to an imperfect, widely criticized, but enormously successful competitor who's basically the king of the genre. To me, it's just another indication that Arena Breakout Infinite Greed isn't really even supposed to capture the PC audience. It's supposed to capture the mobile audience. That's its purpose, which is why they just don't care about the lies. Mobile players won't blink twice, and maybe the PC core community will freak out, as they are, but they'll go back to Gray Zone Warfare and Tarkov relatively quickly. Not to mention a lower propensity for per-month secondary spending, which makes them not really an audience that Tencent has an aptitude for targeting. Oddly enough, the worst part about all of it, in my view at least, is the economy. For a game like this, one of the coolest things, by far, about all of it, is extracting with rare, valuable items and getting a sense of satisfaction from selling or using them. Amassing millions of dollars and buying incredible gear is part of the core mechanic, and you can witness it on full and brilliant display, by the way, in the genre leader, Escape from Tarkov. As much as I don't like that game or its developers, that's what we're talking about here. Like, they do it right. However, when you introduce direct currency injection from a credit card, you devalue everything about the gameplay arc. Not only in a literal sense, as in terms of price points, but you devalue it kind of from an emotional or like mental standpoint. Arena Breakout Infinite has some very cool systems, don't get me wrong. And one of the aha moments for me so far about how good this thing could have been was when I extracted early in, like, I don't know, my second or third raid, getting this rare military radio or something like that. It was very clearly worth a lot of money, and it felt good. I was excited, and they also had this awesome system where it showed where I went during the raid and what I picked up and where, etc., which for a split second gave me that same level of satisfaction, till I remembered, wait, no, doesn't matter. What I find in the raid means nothing, because anyone, anywhere, at any time can have anything I could ever find and much, much more instantaneously. It's really weird to see so many people defending these decisions on places like Reddit or even similar videos so far in the comment sections, right here on YouTube. Sure, people spending money aren't invincible, and the high skill versus low skill differential still matters, obviously, how could it not? But there's a conscious three-pronged decision at play here. Prong 1, lying is okay, because why do we need to tell the truth? The audience doesn't matter. We can say one thing and do something entirely opposite because it's free, I guess. I mean, maybe that's their justification. Prong 2, there's only one audience that matters. Yeah, the game is technically on PC, but we're talking about the overseas publishing arm of Tencent here, which very obviously targets mobile gaming as its core demographic, like we just discussed, and just happened to port the game on PC as well, almost like an afterthought in my view, leading to prong number 3, obfuscation. This game is not on Steam. It's their own proprietary launcher, which means no typical recourse for PC players to review bomb it, like they do with some other titles. Yes, other games do it too, such as Escape from Tarkov, which has also lied in the past about various monetization decisions, but those overall systems pale when compared to Arena Breakout Infinite. And that fact is pretty self-evident when you look at the game in context. I can't say for sure, but in my opinion, they knew all along, they just didn't care and said whatever they wanted to say pre-release. Actually, another thing that speaks to that as well is that they had this massive amount of time where they were asking for feedback from other creators. Big Fry, for example, he has great content too. You can check him out. He mentions this in his video recently published about the topic. They asked for feedback from a lot of people and kind of incorporated that feedback and very clearly like reacted to it or answered questions about it. Like they had this whole system for gathering feedback from the player base. And nowhere in that feedback did anyone say, make it pay to win. Make it so we can buy currency. Like, no one said that. So, speaking to that, right, speaking to the fact that they intended this from the start, why would you have this entire apparatus for gathering feedback only to ignore all of that feedback and lie about things? Like, they just never cared. The PC audience, like the core PC audience, is not the target for this game. Anyway, it's sad because the game actually has some incredible features. I would love to see certain decisions that they made ripple out across the wider extraction shooter market, and maybe the existence of Arena Breakout Infinite will spur better competition despite these controversial decisions. But as it stands, I just can't picture the game harvesting market share for the existing PC market when that community is being so obviously disrespected. Then again, a lot of players nowadays just don't care. Over the years, we've watched the rise of DLC, then on-disc DLC that was already made, then microtransactions, loot boxes, pay to progress, pay to win, and now you have executives talking about charging for every bullet that people fire over at EA, or at least they were at one point, with communication devices to use the in-game chat function. There's no end in sight. Hopefully they back off. I don't picture them realistically doing it, but I hope that they would back off from some of these decisions, or the game carries on as primarily just a mobile title, which is far more likely, but we'll see. I actually wanted to check it out and play more, but as it stands, I won't be doing that. Not when there's much larger, much less greedy alternatives. It's a pretty easy choice, but yeah. If you want to support the channel, check out the links down below. The video sponsor, of course, locals and Patreon, monthly memberships, and more, but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching. Question everything, and have a nice night.